Yeah, that was our first big race in 2 years that we haven't had the opportunity to go and race against some of those East Coast teams since Nationals 2019. So going into that race, there was a big question mark of, we know that we've been preparing well, but what have these other teams been doing? And two teams specifically that are new, Lenore Rhine and Wingate, I knew that they would be really strong coming out of the gate. I thought that we could be better, and we were. We only took 7 to that race, so we didn't take our full squad. The team that we did take works very well together. In terms of what happened on race day, I would not say that it was our best race. It wasn't us at our best, but what they did really well was adapt and deal with things as they come. We flew to the East Coast. We flew to Raleigh, drove 2.5 hours in an 12-passenger van with 8 people and 7 bikes up to the race venue. We had some late nights, a lot of crazy packing, and they stayed positive. They supported one another, and they got it done. They got second to 5-time national champion Queens, and this weekend, there aren't those same competitive teams competing, not the ones that we were close with at this race, and so it's looking like we will be heading into nationals ranked second in the country. So that was an exciting day for us, and these two specifically raced really well. They've both been very consistent for us this season, and it was their day to shine.
And then you kind of mentioned it. You got another regional race this weekend in St. George. What are you looking to accomplish this weekend, knowing that you have a really good squad already going to the national meet?
Well, this is our regional championship. We're part of the West region, so we want to win. They've won this regional qualifier twice already, and we'd like to make it 3 in a row, which they should be able to do. We'll also get to take a bigger squad. So some people that didn't get the chance to race last weekend will have another shot this week to kind of prove themselves and make the squad for nationals. So like I mentioned, those teams that we were close to at East Regional won't be there. So the level of competition for Division II teams is not as big as what we saw a week ago, but still an important race for us, and I think that they're going to show up and give their best and hopefully win it.
Questions?
Logistically, it's a little easier to get to St. George with your bikes than, Raleigh, South Carolina. I mean, are you sitting on the plane going, I hope my bike made it, and where's my bike? And
so the week before that race, what was scary is that we were flying Southwest, and it was 4 days out from that weekend where all of the flights were canceled. So that whole week, it was, well, if we get there, they're going to be great. All we have to do is get there. So that was the big question mark that whole week, is will our flights even happen? Will we even make it? And both of our flights there did get delayed, but we got there. The bikes got there mostly in one piece, and yeah.
That's always a little scary when you don't have control over the equipment. But, and being closer, and you're used to this area and all. What are you looking for? You're in. What do you want to improve on going into this week?
I think like Coach Kinsey said, there was definitely some complications with travel and stuff. That's not an excuse for not performing to our best, but it definitely is a factor. And I think we're just looking to sharpen those skills and just, be able to say, yes, we can walk into nationals at our top 100% ready to go, hit the ground running. So I think we all are really strong, and we showed that, and now we're just kind of honing in.
I think that for all of us, it's just like you said, like tuning up the final preparations that we have before nationals and making sure like we're doing all the little things correctly. Like, yeah, it's swim, biking, and running, but are we transitioning correctly? Are we making the packs that we need to make? And just making sure that we have all the little things right, because come nationals, I think that's what's really going to make the difference in doing the best we can as a team and competing with the best kids in the nation.
How do you guys feel just physically after taking? I know you didn't take 2 years off, but from like a real race, but how do you guys feel having to do it like back-to-back weeks now?
Yeah, like it was definitely weird to like race again. I was just like, oh, I kind of remember how to do this, but it felt so good, and I'm so excited to be back. Yeah, it was definitely weird to see people without masks and like all that stuff, but it feels so good.
As a sophomore, last year was my freshman year. I didn't really get a season, so it was exciting to kind of actually be out there with these girls and this team, experiencing this for the first time and kind of feeling like a freshman all over again. I think that was really nice. But I think the back-to-back racing, it's stressful, but it's also so much fun, and it's the best time of the year, and I'm so excited for the rest of the season.
So really with this being your first year competing, your first true race, yeah, let's go to a national qualifier for your debut. I mean, how did you kind of keep yourself from bouncing off the walls? Or?
Well, that definitely did occur a little bit, but I think definitely. But I mean, I grew up racing in like the elite series for triathlon, and that definitely I feel like gave me a lot of experience with the traveling and the back-to-back racing and like kind of the stress that comes along with it. But I've never traveled like as a team before. Like I've always been like with my parents and meeting up with my team there. So that was a new experience, but I think that was like a lot of fun and actually helped alleviate a lot of the stress that comes along with the traveling.
Well, and does the preparation change from racing on the East Coast now to in Utah, where things are going to be a little bit higher, not as much humidity? Do things change for you guys during the week before the race?
I mean, in terms of like aerobic capacity and stuff like that, not really. We're already training here at altitude. I mean, yes, you might prepare for slightly different weather, but the biggest change is not unpacking your bike and putting it back together from, this mound in a bag and you're like, oh God. So, yeah, I think it's just a little bit less stress, but yeah, I mean, we've been doing the work. We've done the work. We're ready.
I agree with that, and especially since this race is at a little bit more of an altitude than sea level, I think that we're even more prepared for that, considering we're one of the few teams that does live and train at altitude. So I think that's exciting for us because it's like normal, quote unquote, for us, but not necessarily for everyone else.
How was drafting? How was the communication with you guys? How did it feel out there?
It can get hectic sometimes, and there's definitely a lot of communication that has to occur. But I've been racing some of these girls since I was 13 years old, so it's definitely, we work well together. There's definitely some stressful situations that occur, just with being close together and going high speeds on a bike, but it makes it so much more enjoyable, and that's what I love about draft legal, because if you're not doing draft legal, then you're just kind of out there by yourself, and it gets very lonely very quickly.
I was going to say, yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, obviously you can't account for other people on different teams, but if you come out with your teammates like I did, I know how my teammates work. We're doing the work every day together, so I have confidence in them that they'll keep me safe, or as safe as they can.
Well, and you guys have both been named academic All-Americans from previous seasons. How do you kind of balance the workload of school and sports during these big race times where you're going back-to-back in weekends?
Time management. It's big. Yeah, I would say, you're going to go to a race this weekend. You talk to your professors. You communicate with them. You just take that into account. I think it is easier each year you go. You kind of get used to it more and more.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of planning and communication to your professors beforehand, but luckily all my professors are super supportive about it, and they think it's so cool that we get to do this, so they're usually pretty helpful with help making up stuff that I might miss or giving me an extension on any of my assignments. But it definitely gets stressful these back-to-back weekends. There's definitely a lot of time management, like Abba said, that has to occur, and that you have to really plan out your assignments and everything like that.
Question of the week.
boy. My favorite Halloween costume, I went as like a bioluminescent jellyfish. Yeah, and I had like an umbrella for a hat and then just little streamers and lights.
So I'm actually not remembering a favorite, but my most memorable was when I was in preschool and my mom, she made me be a Christmas present. So I was just wearing this large cardboard box and I couldn't sit down the entire day because it like went past my hips. So that's the one that's coming to mind, but it wasn't necessarily because it was my favorite.
When I was younger in preschool, my family was the Monsters from Monster Inc. So I was Boo, my mom was Mike Wazowski, and my dad was Sully. And forever, those will be my favorite Halloween photos and costumes.